Hello everyone, me Patrick, Mind That Matters yet again. I know I keep popping up on your screens, but there we go. Now, spring has definitely arrived. Although, past week or so, it's been quite mixed. Today's gorgeous. So here I am, enjoying it. Before I get going on today's topic of discussion, I'd like to mention something to you. A splendid young man, Brian Fitzgerald, has produced MindSpace Journal. Now, he is professional in line, the world of social work. And he came up with the idea of a self-care journal for professionals, but also for non-professionals. I think is very important. Flexible little office. That's where you can create and record your day-to-day activities while aiming to develop a greater appreciation of yourself. You know, through charting your gratitudes, joys, motivating affirmations. Big term. It means being kind to yourself. And in this journal, it's actually coloured. Lots of colour around. Soothing colour. You have some gratitude charting. I think it's a matter of buying one, finding out what that entails exactly. Some sounds very nice. I think it's worth it. You can get a daily planner prompt and have a little space for reflection. Now, it sounds very much like a diary, doesn't it? It does. Only a lot of the work's already done for you. It's colourful, you have suggestions. Rather than being given a day of the week, you decide what day of the week it is. That's what I've taken from it. Now, I will put the link here somewhere or in the description below, or maybe both. Be surprised and look out for it. Put that on the side. To the next topic, which is today's topic. Now, I know that it would be better for me if I did this on a regular basis, and I do, but the days tend to be ill-defined. So what I will try to do is do one on Sunday and then do one on Thursday. So look out for those. Next Thursday, I want you all there, waiting, saying, where the hell is it? Come on. And if you don't get it, then you tell me. Which will mean doing two things. Liking this, liking all the other videos, and subscribing. And why is subscription important? So I know you're looking and enjoying. And if I get feedback, it makes this already enjoyable. I'm having a great time doing it. Believe me. But then I just know other people out there are listening to my sometimes inane ramblings and are gaining some value from it. So I would like to know how this is helping you. If it is, if not, tell me. Also tell me subjects that you might like me to discuss. Like I said, this is all about me, right? Me. No, I'm drawing on my own experiences. You know that. I've said it often enough and I will continue to say it. I can't do it in someone else's stead. I can only look at me. Now, what I may do in the future, I might do a special or two. In fact, I might do lots. Remember the busy road? Ish, Sunday, lots of people voting also here in this country today. Very important. I've been and voted. So has my daughter for the first time. So I will do those specials. And if I have your suggestions, then I will do my best to cover what certain things are, what they mean, how they work, how they affect people. Which brings us nicely to today's topic, and it's relationships. Comes another car. You won't hear it that much, I don't think, but I do. Now, we have lots of relationships. Lots. A lot more than we think. Now, being a man of modest years, I've had a lot of relationships. I will have a lot more in my life. But not if I decide to go and live in a cave somewhere. Even then, I'd have to go and meet people the odd time. You know? Even the hermits had to go and do the messages every now and then. Messages for non-Irish people, or Dutch people, because they use the same word, is where you go and do your shopping, your groceries. You learn the messages. Very important. You have relationships from, oh, the most intimate one you have is being carried by another person. How much more intimate can it be? Now, some of us, we don't have, either we don't have a good relationship with our mothers, or we're part of what would be called a reconstituted family, a non-nuclear family, where one other parent isn't there. Now, I'll take my own example. From the age of 2, I never knew my mother. It's just circumstance. So it's had an effect on my life, most definitely. And it doesn't, the years don't make that any easier. Because you think, well, I'd like to know more, and I did find out a little more, and it didn't resolve anything. And this will be the case for many of you out there, where you may have the mother particular, or father who isn't there, who isn't attentive, or a mother who is remarried, or father who is remarried, and then you have to deal with a step parent. Many of you will have been adopted. Somewhere in here, in your, or in here, inside your brain, we have a sense that something is not right. So these are our most intimate relationships with parents. And when they don't work, what do we do? Well, we may have relationships with our siblings. Well, as siblings, we tend to be very selfish. In many cases, not always. We can be. It's this really striving. You want your part of the attention cake. If you don't get it, then you make things very difficult for everybody around you. True. I was that child at one time. I was an only child for a long time in my life. And I was spoiled, rotten by everybody who knew me. I really was. And that changed. With a remarriage. A stepmother in my life. And then a new baby came along shortly. So that changed a lot of things for me. It stopped me being selfish. No, that takes time. We are a selfish ape. This is what we do. Especially when we're young. And it takes a while to lose that. For men especially, men hold on to this selfish gene a lot more. Or they're driven by the selfish gene a lot more. Thinking of themselves. Thinking of ourselves as men. And we do. We can be blind to what's going on around us. We can be negligent. And in my case, it's lasted. I want to struggle against it, but it's there. I know my own origins. I know that, yes, some things were good, some things were bad. We have to get on with it at some stage. But then, one part of you has been retarded, in many ways, your ability to think clearly, to reason clearly. When you think of yourself and have a very narrow view of life, we may think we have a very broad view, but when you look at it, when you examine it, then it's actually quite narrow. We think of ourselves, now, with whom do we have our best relationships? It's very difficult to say. When we're young, our friends, there may not be a lot of depth. There generally isn't. You'll fight with each other, you'll knock around with each other. That can be good. You can be good friends. I'm still friends with some people I knew from childhood because I've lived away for a long time. That's been that's been altered in some way, but not wholly. You know, my brother, he's related, but he's my brother. Not because we've known each other for so long, I've spoken with him before, but because we are. We went through times where we didn't speak. Not because we didn't want to speak to each other. Although some of his behaviour sometimes would lead me to think that way. It would probably be unfair sometimes. But we renewed contact and become even closer over the years. And if you have one person like that in your life, then consider yourself to be extremely lucky. If you have one person who will do near enough anything for you, then you're very lucky. Noisy one coming. Sorry about this, but there you go. He's happy. I choose to leave then because it's just nice background noise. What I think it is. I have to suffer, so you, and you may have a very good relationship with one or more of your siblings. Some people are very lucky in a family of four or five or six to get on with everyone. That doesn't always endure in time. Things happen to make sure that doesn't, which is unfortunate. And I've known families, large families, fallen out, turned into clans within clans. But I'm speaking of the singular here, the person and their relationships. We have good relationships generally with people close to our parents, but with whom we can speak more freely. That's where we get most of our validation. Sometimes our aunts and uncles can be tough, but they're tough in a way you say, yeah, I'm going to be tough with you. But at the same time, you're going to get a cuddle, something that you won't be getting at home. And for a child, even into adolescence, a cuddle is worth the price of it. It is worth so much. If you don't get it, a lack of contact, it can be destructive. It can make you feel whatever about love, make you feel unwanted, rejected, uncared for. That can do more damage than being hit sometimes. Of course, you can't compare these things directly, but not being held by somebody who supposedly loves you is tough. Like I said, many of you watching will know this. You will know the pain of not having a parent's love. You can make many excuses. If we decide to absolve the past, we're absolving ourselves as well. We absolve ourselves of our part in it and saying, well, I did some things. I could have been a better son. And it's true. We could all have been better. We could all be better now, but are we? Do we choose to be? No, we choose to live our lives. We cannot look back in a rearview mirror possibilities and say, everything is now 2020. Yeah, if I could go back, I would be a different person. I'd be exactly the same. I know I would. Unless you go back to a different reality, in which case that doesn't exist. So you're stuck in this one. What you can do is say, look, when I absolve myself, I know I made mistakes, and I recognize those mistakes. But there's always the other person. If you want to absolve the other person, then fine. But there will always be questions. There will always be conditions. There will always be something. But then if we become parents ourselves, especially parents, we see where our parents and elders did have problems. And we look at ourselves. Are we any better or are we any worse? Now, I would hope that you're better. You may be worse in other ways. But I think in general, we're a little better. Not saying that we're beaters. As children, they're tough. But I'm not going to go down the relationship with children. Perhaps later on. That's tougher. It's a tougher thing to admit to you that you may not have been no issues of abuse here. I'm not saying that. But how you dealt with your children, you may have had an ideal. And then you go back and you think, Jeannie, what did I do? I wasn't supposed to teach them that, or I wanted it to turn out a different way. Of course we do. It's always an ideal, there's always a plan. What type of relationships do we have? Like I say, with our parents, sometimes they're strained. There's more distance between us than you'd wish. With other adults, there may be a closer relationship. In my case, there certainly was. My grandparents, my aunt and uncle, who I adored, my uncle's son and my aunt is, and I do adore her. And they kept me on the straight and narrow as much as they could. Not that I was a handful, I wasn't. I was just moody. That word again, moody, a moody young fella. But they knew, they could see what was going on. They were very aware, they were clued up to an extent. They had their own children. I was an extension of the family, I was part of that family. Thankfully. And it's a house in which it was a home in which I would gladly have lived in preference to my own. This is something you will all have experienced. Any place but your own home. Get out for whatever reason. Go somewhere else to somebody who has shown you what you thought you would get in your own homes. Kindness. I'm not saying I wasn't clothed or fed or anything like that, but it's a small part of the equation. You have to look at what small people go through as they get bigger and bigger. And you have to see what your part in that is as well. I was lucky. I consider myself to be very lucky. I grew up in two very warm households. But then I had other people. Primary school had an excellent schoolmaster. He looked after everyone. He tried to make sure that we started off in the right way. Good discipline. Corporal punishment, by the way, was still an issue at the time. I often had my hands warmed with a couple of good wallops in each hand. cold winter's morning, yeah, it wakes you up. Your hands are red for the rest of it. But it was seen as a way. He could have done it when he could have kept discipline without that corporal punishment. But then there were others who were involved in sport. There were other family members who cared and you knew it. There were other neighbours, good people. So even though in many small villages in Ireland and Britain and Europe and around the world, terrible things are said about them, they're enclosed that people are backward and they get to know them a little more because it's far from being the case. You're great people. The relationships I have with people from my home village, many of them are gone now, friends, but I still am close to many people there. And you find if you keep contact, then you might have one or two delightful surprises when you meet some of your old friends. You'll have moments that knock you on your backside, really, truly. Well, these are surprises beyond measure. And, you know, even if you don't keep these particular relationships going in the future, what you'll know is that you met somebody wonderful, somebody caring, and there'll always be a moment, a place in your heart where you think, yeah, I'm a better person. I met that person on that day, but you never know. It may go on longer. Our relationships help us with building us. They allow us reference points. Do you think of a person who's helped you? You think of that moment when you were feeling low, when you were about to do something really, really silly. And that person has come along and said, look, come and sit down. And you feel kind words. You may get an arm around your shoulder. You may get somebody pointing a finger at you, saying that, you really need to look after yourself. You can't do stupid things in your life. There are many people who don't have that. These are simple things. But it's somebody seeing how you are, somebody with enough nous, and this is to be respected. The person sees you in difficulty. You just know it's an instinct. It's got nothing to do with a maternal or a paternal instinct. It's an instinct that says that person's in trouble. Now, with a bit of luck, you developed that instinct yourself. So even though you may not be going on in your own mind, maybe feeling empty, but you can look at somebody else and say, "Oh, the person deserves my help." Whatever small way you can do it, and all those people out there who feel they can't handle the world. Well, I'd say this: I'd say that there are people out there who will help you, who want to know you, and who love you. All you have to do is put your hand out, put your hand up, or strike up a conversation with somebody. Simple as that. Say, look, I just want to talk. Let's see where it leads you. I have no miracle cure. I could talk to you about things that have happened in my life. Now, they're not horrors, but it's been tough. It's been tough to live. They've left their mark, certainly. And one day, I promise, maybe soon, if you're all good, I'll talk to you about my own particular flavour of mental upset. It's called EUPD. I'll decipher that pretty soon. I might do a series on, you know, common or garden variety mental upsets and their effects. And don't rest on a few relationships because it's not that there's a burden on people. Start to find there's a burden on you. People don't want to hear this, they don't want to see me. You start to feel maybe a bit like me, touch of shame. Keep talking to people about the same thing. So go out and find some new people to bother. Yeah, talk to new people. Join a group. Yeah, you're bothering them because you are bothering. You are putting your life upon somebody. But there's the risk. People will be more receptive than you think because they'll start telling you their stuff as well. In return, this is not a one-way street. This is coming right back at you. So prepare to use these. And this, I'm sorry, Mr. Lunn. Kempt, by the way. This, I'm just trying out this look of never shaving again. Oh, I'll get to about another. I might get to Wednesday. I'll just think, I can't be doing this. The deal with Gray's coming on nicely. Thank you for asking. Yes. So impose yourself on some people. It's the only way you can discuss who you are, what you are, how you are, when you are, is by talking to people and saying, look, do you mind if I tell you something? Now, why you've got a new patio on your wife's gone, can wait till later. Start with the small stuff. Mental breakdowns, very easy to talk about. I'm joking about that. I never ask about the patio. So, go, talk, put your feelings out there. Laugh. Cry. A little bit. Too much crying the first time might frighten people away. Then again, it might not. But don't cry when you talk about the patio. It make people suspicious. But get out there. Because for many of us, it's difficult getting out there. I mean, furthest I go, I know I've been, I was in Ireland. Good would be down to do my messages, down to the shop. I went to vote today, and I have to force myself to do more things. So if I'm willing to do it, then you can do it. Of course you can. So I will touch on relationships again sometime in the future. I have no doubt. It really is a lovely day. It's a lovely day to be alive. Not to be able to sit outside. So that's my lot. Now I'll leave you with MindSpace Journal. It will be in the description. Probably there. I might put it up on screen, like I said. I'll leave you to enjoy your Sunday. The way my internet is going, this could be tomorrow. I'm just saying, it's shocking at the moment. So, leave you all for the moment until Thursday. Be good, be well, be safe. May God or a goddess, may your God or your goddess go with you. And see you all very soon. Bye now.